Okay. Let's unpack this. If you are eyeing a wedding date in 2026, or honestly, even just vaguely thinking about it, I have some news that might, well, it might spike your heart rate just a little bit.
Yeah, it probably will.
We are doing a deep dive today into a guide from Weddizer called Creating a Realistic 12 to 18-Month Wedding Planning Timeline for 2026. And the headline here isn't about color palettes or cake flavors. It's that 2026 is shaping up to be a total logistical beast.
It really is. The data suggests we've moved past the era of simple wedding planning and into what is essentially complex logistical management.
Right, because the days of booking a venue 6 months out and just hoping for the best are...
They are effectively over for prime dates.
Which is wild. But why? Is there really that much of a backlog right now?
It is a supply and demand bottleneck, specifically what the source calls the venue crisis. We are seeing highly personalized, multi-day guest experiences becoming the norm, and that just eats up inventory. So if you want a spring or fall weekend in 2026, which are the gold rush dates, you are competing with couples who started booking way back in late 2024.
Okay, so let's treat this like a project management deep dive. The guide breaks this down into phases, and phase 1 is the foundation. That's 18 to 12 months out. Aside from the venue, where is the critical path here?
Well, before you even look at a venue, you have to lock in your vision and your budget. And I don't mean just a rough idea. You need to know if you are funding a luxury ballroom or a minimalist loft before signing a venue contract.
To avoid that house poor feeling, where you spend everything on the location and have nothing left for food.
Exactly. Transparency is key. And once the venue locks the date, the guide mentions this vendor rush.
Right. I assumed this meant caterers, but they actually highlight photographers and videographers first. Why that specific hierarchy?
Because unlike a caterer who can feed 2 weddings in a day, a lead photographer is a singular asset. They can only be in one place.
Well, that makes total sense.
Yeah, so the guide emphasizes booking them 12 to 18 months out, not just for availability, but for style compatibility.
Yeah.
You really need time to review full galleries, not just Instagram highlights, to ensure their editing style matches that vision you defined.
It's vetting time, basically.
Yeah.
Now, at the 1-year mark, we hit the communication layer, save the dates, and the website.
Right. And for 2026, the website isn't just a digital invite anymore. It is your central logistics hub. It manages hotel blocks, travel, data registry links, all of that.
And, speaking of communication, I actually noticed something really interesting about Weddizer as a platform. Because planning a wedding obviously brings up a ton of interpersonal drama.
Oh, absolutely. Managing people is easily half the battle.
Exactly. And the Weddizer website actually have a whole article section dedicated to relationship and social etiquette.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so if you need guidance on how to deal with relationships or navigating tricky family and in-law dynamics during this stressful 18-month marathon, they actually have resources specifically for that niche.
Which is such a lifesaver because the stress really peaks as you move into phase 2.
Right, the design and details window.
Yeah.
10 to 6 months out. This feels like the fun aesthetic phase.
Yeah.
The guide throws around terms like textured arrangements and sustainable florals.
Yeah, those are the big 2026 trend forecasts. Textured arrangements means moving away from those tight round bouquets to looser, more organic structures, mixing dried and fresh elements. And layered lighting is another big one, using a mix of candlelight uplighting and pin spotting to change the mood throughout the night.
But there is a huge warning here about attire. 6 months out seems like plenty of time to buy a suit or a dress, but the guide completely disagrees.
Strongly disagrees. Supply chain issues can still affect luxury textiles. A custom gown or a bespoke suit often requires 6 to 8 months for production and alterations.
Wow.
Yeah, if you walk in 6 months before the wedding, you might be severely limited to just off-the-rack options.
Got it. So do not procrastinate on the fit. Also in this window is logistics, right? Hair, makeup, transportation.
Yes, shuttles and valets book up fast, and you really don't want your guests stranded.
Let's jump to phase 3, the final countdown. 5 months to 2 weeks out. This is where the romance usually dies and the paperwork begins.
Unfortunately, yes. This is the administrative heavy lift. You are finalizing contracts, buying rings, tracking RSVPs, but the one that always catches people off guard is the marriage license.
Because every local government has different rules.
Exactly. Some are valid for 90 days, some for only 30. The guide recommends investigating the specific legal requirements of your venue's location exactly 2 months out so you don't time it wrong.
Then those final 2 weeks. The strategy here completely shifts from doing to delegating.
This is honestly the most actionable advice in the whole document. You hand over the finalized timeline to your wedding party or your planner. You stop answering questions. Your job shifts to physical and mental prep. If you are fielding calls about ice delivery on your wedding morning, the strategy failed.
I really like how they frame the timeline not as a chore list, but as a tool for empowerment.
That's the main takeaway. Structure buys you flexibility. If you have a solid timeline, a rain delay or a vendor issue is just a minor hiccup, not a crisis. It transforms the feeling of overwhelm into confidence.
It's fascinating because we usually think of the budget just in terms of cash. But this guide really suggests that for a 2026 wedding, your time is a finite budget too. If you spend it all early on stress and scrambling, you are completely bankrupt by the wedding day, something to mull over as you open that calendar app. Thanks for diving in with us.